Good afternoon, DJ Sweetly. I'm back for Let the Youth Live, where we're all about solutions to keep the young people safe, alive. Now, I'm literally blown away by what's been happening over the last few months. I haven't done a live for quite a while because I've been quite unwell. Still undergoing tests and stuff, but feeling a lot better than I was. But I literally cannot believe what I'm seeing, what's going on. Things are escalating. There doesn't seem to be anything in place to keep young people safe. So massive shout out to Ed Gates 98, who's just joined us. But I thought I'd come on today, do a kind of quick live, bit of an update, just on maybe some of the incidents that I've been aware of over the last few months. It's actually, it's shocking. Shout out to Islington Healing Network. How are you doing? Thank you for joining me today because I've not been on the lives for quite a while. I've had a lot going on. I was just saying before that I've been pretty unwell, literally the whole of January. And I was just, able to do bits and pieces around all of that. And February wasn't much better for me, and I've still got more tests and stuff to have. But it's all been since I had COVID last year. And oh my goodness, so I won't go into too much more about all of that, but I'm feeling a lot better in myself. I wanted to come on today, just get a few things off my chest, have a bit of a rant, I think, as well, because we need urgent action, right? I just can't believe, right? So I'm sure I haven't been on since around Christmas time, right? And we had lots and lots of incidences, particularly where I am in the Peckham area, Camberwell area, Walworth Road. We have had absolutely loads, right? Some have had a little bit of media attention, some have had none whatsoever. So some of the things we've had a young person being ambushed by gangs wearing masks on bikes, stabbing him multiple times. We had in Tulse Hill, we had a girl stabbed by 4 men and attacked. We had a Hackney gang fight with swords. That was early evening. The Lexham Estate, we had 2 men that were shot at, but not much media attention on that one. Peckham Playground, shootings and stabbings. Camberwell, near the kebab shop. We had the windows smashed out from a shooting. We had, where else? Peckham Rye Park, right on my doorstep. And a young man was murdered. He was just minding his own business and murdered in the park. 1 stab wound to his heart. They have caught those 2 people. But literally, I went to that vigil. Very distressing. Lots of his young family members there. Absolutely awful, right? But it just brings back the fact parks are not safe, right? And that's not just for young people, that's for all people, right? Ulysses Youth, they're saying the sound is intermittent. So I'm not sure if that's your end or mine. Let me know whoever else is on. Big up to you, Daniel, as well, locked in. Right, so there's so many incidences, right? So this is why I'm kind of flying through them, right? These are the ones from, Christmas, New Year, right? Last year and coming into this year. So, so we had the murder in Peckham Rye Park. I literally, when I went to the vigil, I realised that, hang on, Peckham Rye Park hasn't got any lighting, right? There isn't really any CCTV, right? So I'm trying my hardest this end to at least try and get things like that put in place. And we will be putting hopefully a defib with a bleed control cabinet into that park. So that will be fantastic once we do that. We're actually at the moment working on that. But as usual, when working with the council, it can be quite testing on the patients, can we say. But that's all kind of in motion. That will be happening. Right, so then we had the Kingswood estate, right? So there was initially 12 people arrested for that. I think in the end 3 were charged, all right? And I literally went up to that estate. I've put a bleed control kit up there because they've had, I think every year there's been a murder up on that estate, right? So what I can't grasp, right, is when these incidents happen, these tragic incidents, what then is put in place so that that same thing can't happen in that particular place again? Because what I'm seeing is that's not happening, right? And I mean, I'm trying to connect and link with people in my area. So I'm in Southwark, I'm on the border of Peckham Rye and East Dulwich, right? But literally I've kind of discovered that there isn't really anyone round here doing anything, right? Unless I just don't know about them. But I've reached out to anybody that I thought may be doing things in Peckham and East Dulwich. I've literally managed to connect now with community liaisons, the local police neighbourhood safety liaison units, because we have to work together, right? We literally have to work together to start protecting the youth, right? Because there is nothing in place. And this is why I'm so, I'd say passionate, but I'm also angry, right? Because this is people's lives, okay? I'll just read another message from Ulysses Youth. The government don't care about our youth. No, right? 100%. They may talk the talk, but there is nothing in place protecting our youth, all right? There literally isn't, okay? So it's about people, the right people who know what's going down, who understand, right? Because I haven't got energy to, like I was doing for years, trying to explain and break it down to people in the community, how urgent this is, right? And I mean, the hidden crime that's going on in front of everybody's faces, right? Child exploitation, right? We're seeing it every day, right? It's about being aware of what's going on. How are we going to stop that from occurring in the first place, right? But it means us frequenting the places where young people are, because this is where they're getting groomed. Ulysses Youth says, I'm not based in London, but it's the same in the Midlands. Yes, right? It's across the board, right? The whole of the UK. And I know this, right? I did, about 5 years ago, I did a nationwide, Your City Says No, right? Because we knew that everything we're going through here is happening in like all the towns and cities, right? Across the whole of the UK, right? And it is the poorest areas, right? This is, and the main culprits are organised crime, corruption, drugs, right? All the things that the government make money off, right? Even the weapons. Weapons aren't coming in, making their way into our little estates on their own, right? There's big money, big business, right? I am horrified with the state of our communities, the lack of protection, the lack of care, right? Empathy, right? Now, people keep saying to me, oh, I'm putting all these videos up for awareness, right? Now, how much more aware do people need to be, right? They could see the most horrific, right, stabbing, shooting, young person bleeding to death, horrific gang attack, right? Murdered, bled to death in a field. Like, does that prompt anyone to actually do anything? Because all I can see is people going, oh, it's their fault. It's their fault. It's, oh, yeah, blame the parents. Blame. A lot of time, these kids haven't got parents. There's a lot of kids out here who have no parents, who are under the care system, right? They're being looked after, supposedly, right? They're probably the most at risk and the most vulnerable of our kids out here. But I've literally, like I said, I've come on today to have a bit of a rant, right? Just because I'm just so in shock that it's just like a cycle where every day we're seeing these horrific headlines, right? People discuss it. You know, they might, you know, I think this, I think that, right? We literally know what needs to happen. We need an emergency Cobra meeting, right? The only way we can get that, like I said, we're trying the petition, right? But I don't know what it is about people. It's it would take you, say, 30 seconds to a minute to sign the petition, right? I've literally been having to coerce people to just sign it. Like they don't believe that, you know, the people have the power, right? The system has been designed to be changed, right? But if no one tries anything, then how's that going to happen, right? So we've literally been doing this petition for a year, right? We have 566 signatures, right? Which is obviously not enough, right? And I've come across another petition that I saw that had like nearly 20,000, right? And it was about, it wasn't as specific as our petition, what we're asking for in law change. But that had been going like 5 years and it had nearly 20,000. But we haven't got 5 years to get it up to 20,000. We haven't got, right? There's a lot of stuff happening, and this is what, you know, I'll just say now, positive stuff that I know is happening, that is all in process, right? That if it continues going on with the funding and people, you know, just keeping going with stuff, in 8 to 10 years, things will be different out here, right? But that is if that all, you know, the funding continues and it's all consistent, right? I wouldn't really like to just depend on that and just wait and just keep watching young people, you know, bleeding to death on the street, bleeding out in you know, in the park, bleeding out in shopping centres, right? I'm not happy to just let that keep, you know, and then when videos come up, let's just speak about it. We need action. We know what the action is. Ulysses Youth said, the worry is the youngers are becoming desensitised to youth violence. Well, I think everybody is, and it's not just youth violence. I would not like to be a young person right now, living in all of this. It's horrifying, right? So if you've got a small percentage who are actually committing a lot of the offences and stuff, what about the young people that aren't involved, don't want to get involved, are trying to get on with life, trying to do things, right? I can't even imagine what that's like, right? So they're going to school because they have to, and they've got to do exams, and they, you know, the schools give them no leeway, and they're on at them for trivial stuff, right? But if anything happens at school, outside school, at the bus stop, right? Because we saw a huge thing the other day, big incident at the school bus stop in Croydon, right? And lots of other incidences that are happening. And I've seen another one in Croydon where there was loads of them with machetes at, I think, 4:30, 5 o'clock, when kids are still in school uniform. So What's in place for our kids when they're in school uniform, right? On their way to and from school. What is there? Because soon as they go secondary school, parents just let them go secondary school. But there's nothing in place. I know parents who have lost their children after school, at the school bus stop, being ambushed outside school, being stabbed to death in the sports field, being murdered due to social media. Now, if this doesn't call for emergency action, I have no idea what else could. Okay? And I'm trying my hardest to get that urgent action. And I'm determined that I will get that. Now, it's about the right people coming together, the ones who know what's going on. They're aware of how drastic this situation is, and that if no action is taken, we're looking at lots more lost lives. Now, one of the things we work on is the life-saving initiative of bleed control kits and that campaign. Now, just to break that down, because that campaign's going very well, but we need way more people to get involved in their own communities, to look on their street and their local shops. Ask, have they got bleed control, right? If you haven't, try clubbing up with your neighbours or friends from the school, right, to buy one. So you know if any incident happens round your way that's catastrophic blood loss, right, somebody's life could potentially be saved. Now, these are not a solution for knife crime, because there's people out there who seem to think that that's what people are saying, but no. They are a solution for catastrophic blood loss. There is no law that makes public buildings or anywhere when there's loads of people there makes it that they have to have one of these. But they do, and they should have, and it will be law one day, right? Yes, I'll definitely send the campaign to you, Ulysses Youth. We've got a variety, right, of different things that people can get involved in that we've really thought about that don't take any time, because we know with the cost of living, with mental health, with poverty, with all this crazy bloody stuff that's going on out here, right? The COVID, right? So there's so much going on. We know that this is a lot for people, right? To, you know, they're trying to live, they're trying to heat their homes, they're trying to get by, right? But this is for the next generation. And this is what I do it for, right? Because I do not want to leave this earth like this, right? I've got a grandson, I've got 2 daughters, right? And I do not want what's happening for their future and their kids' kids. And then I couldn't live with myself. This is so shocking that it's just allowed to just keep continuing. Right, so big up to DJ Leroy as well, and Zapotismo. Right, shout out to you. Right, so, there's another message from Ulysses Youth. Right, exactly. This happened to my son outside his school in year 11 by some school excluded kids. Luckily, it wasn't serious. Right, sorry to hear about that, and I'm really thankful that it wasn't any more serious, because the things I'm seeing, right? So I'm seeing grown men pull up to kids in school uniform outside their school and attempting to kidnap them. I'm seeing adults going into schools, and this was local to me not that long ago, and they're going in with machetes into schools, right? So this is one of the things on our petition. We need metal detectors, so no one's getting into any schools with weapons like that, right? We have to protect the children. And what we found is that the schools aren't particularly helpful. You may get maybe a staff member, a couple of staff members who are, empathetic, actually get this, care about, the safety of kids, right? Safeguarding them. I just want to know the point when they leave school and they're going home and travelling home, how are they being safeguarded? I mean, it wasn't that long ago. I saw it was a schoolboy that stabbed a woman. Where was that? It was quite local to me, right after school time, in front of loads of kids in school uniform. Now, what's happening to all this trauma that these kids are seeing? And the normalisation of, that's what could happen, right? Knife fights on buses. There's so many things I could say, right? So many incidents, my brain can't even remember them all. Right? That's not normal. That's not right. And the fact, I've read something the other day, because the stats, this is another thing. I keep hearing about the stats lately. Oh, yeah, knife crime's gone down, No, right? I don't know what they are. I don't know how they've managed to manufacture those stats, right? Whatever they've done to them, okay? Because in my area, no. Because there's loads of stabbings that are not reported. They're not reported. There's loads that aren't put in the paper. There's loads. So where they're getting these figures from. But I read somewhere that, I think I wrote it down, highest number of stabbings in 76 years. Right? Now, it's not even about getting the big knives and that off the streets, because there's kitchen knives and there's loads of people using them, right? So why is this society all about grabbing a knife and stabbing someone, no matter what's going on, right? Where has that, and what do we do to stop that? All right, shout out to FCN as well. Ulysses Youth says, I feel like the school are overwhelmed, poor communication between professionals who aren't doing their job. Every serious case reviews says the same. And this is another thing. Ofsted, right? They need to be looked into, right? There's so many things that need to start being made accountable. People don't report it, so the statistics aren't accurate. Yeah, that's right. Shout out to my daughter, Laws Versace. Come on the live if you can, darling. Ulysses Youth as well, come on. Because I'm not staying on too long today. But like I said, I felt like I had to come on, talk about, have a bit of a rant, because I'm just so in shock. That, like I said, I see the same cycle repeating. So we see the videos. And the other thing, somebody actually sent me a video today that, I still feel a bit traumatised by. Most people know not to ever send me horrifying videos. But what I grasped from this video was a young man, looked like he'd been stabbed or shot on an estate. And it was filmed for around 8 minutes before a paramedic arrived. And what I realised then is how important we have bleed control in estates, right? So the community are empowered instead of just standing about or not knowing what to do, or if they have the equipment, they can be spoken and talked step by step, right, through what to do until the paramedics arrived. Now, I'm not sure how that all turned out. Like I said, I still feel a bit traumatised having seen that, because I feel like I was there and felt everything he was going through. These things about awareness videos, right? I would say, realistically, we've probably had enough of awareness videos, because it doesn't prompt people to do a thing. I've never seen anybody see a video and go, right, that's it, today I'm going to do this. I'm just going to, right, I just see people being frozen in trauma and then a lot of times they want to pass that on to their friends by sending them the video. Now, I'm hoping that goes on a lot less than it did, but going on all the viral videos. Shout out to Ditch the Knife. SK from the 6 says, honesty, don't think this generation can be saved. Right, well, literally, they can be saved from bleeding to death out here. Right, that's the first thing they can be saved from, right? There's enough youth work and funding being pumped in right now for the immediate direct, gang exit programs. There's a lot that's being funded right now, and then they're working on the younger ones. But I mean, there's a lot of issues: the exploitation of young people, sexual and criminal. You've got the grooming, and like I said, if people in communities start stepping up and trying to stop some of this grooming happening, right? Stop it before it starts. Right? Adults need to be hanging around chicken shops, frequenting, at night time, walking dogs in areas where that vulnerable young people may be getting groomed, right? You can always message us for any kind of advice with regards to that, because I'm working with a beautiful lady called Marcia in Brighton, and she works with a whole group called Pattern Up, and they bring about awareness through their artwork. They're absolutely amazing. Absolutely adore what they're doing. I'm so proud of them myself. Now, Brighton has the highest rates of child exploitation and county lines. This group of young people have joined forces to, through their artwork, bring awareness, kind of some of the ways that they're exploited and groomed. And it's brilliant what they're doing, but they've come up with a petition, right, to help stop young people having to go through the judicial system, because at the end of the day, they are victims in all of this, right? But there is actually no description of exploitation, right? So for young people. So at the moment, they use this I think it's a certain clause called N7 that will allow a judge to look at a young person that's been exploited more as a victim. But this is not ideal, and this is why the law needs to change, right? So these young people, they know what needs to happen, but they need the law change. Now, this is why one of the parts of what we want to be resolved in the COBRA meeting for law change, we've got a whole list of them, okay? And we're adamant that we're going to get law change. Right, Ulysses Youth says, we have to try. Youth clubs were closed. We're living in poverty, low aspirations, and an education system that isn't fit for purpose. Yeah, that's right. Now, the thing about youth clubs, even if open, right, young people are not safe inside them. I don't care what anybody's saying, unless they need metal detectors, you need some kind of security system to protect the young people that are in there, right? And that's my concern, is the safety, community safety, right? Now, I'd love for people to start looking in their own area, start noticing what's missing, right? The lighting, right? Is this place, hang on a minute, this is a bit dodgy, I wouldn't like to be going down there. Hang on, is there any CCTV cameras, right? Because I think you're going to be shocked when you start looking in your local areas. Look in your parks, right? These the places where young people go. That's where we need to be. The places they frequent, right? They're being preyed on out here. It's absolutely sickening, right? And I will do another live, particularly on just exploitation, because there's so much to it, and people need to understand how vulnerable our young people are. In particular as well, SEN, so children with autism, particularly targeted. And I've heard even Down syndrome as well. So it's the vulnerable youth, the children who are in care, the ones with no parents. Yeah, all they've got is the state looking out for them. Ulysses says, love listening to your passion and purpose here. Got to go with this, the littlest now, but I'll support where I can. Bless you. Thank you so much. All right. It's been a pleasure to get you on here today. But come on the live one week. All right. Yeah, because I'm usually I do this every single week. I am aiming to get back to doing this weekly. I mean, this is something minimum needs to be spoken about once a week, right? And hopefully we'll be back to the Make Noise End Knife Crime as well on a Sunday, where we make noise, we film it, all right? And we demand change on our doorsteps, in our car, right? And we're going back to that very soon. So we definitely need your support as well on that. Shout out to It's Sophia. Right, so I've spoken about all the incidences that have been going on. How horrifying the fact that nothing seems to be... It's like, how many times do things need to repeat? That's what I can't grasp. How many more times, right? So before, it's like... I mean, there's people out here getting paid, right? Like the police and the council, after these incidences, right? So what are they implementing? What the hell are they implementing so it doesn't happen again? Or, it's less likely to happen, right? So, right, one other positive. There's another, in fact, I've got quite a lot of positives, actually. So maybe I'll just talk a little bit about them. So, I am now licensed, right, to do the Peace Education Programme, which I'm very, very excited about. I will be doing an online one, so which anyone can sign up to across the globe, right? So this is open to worldwide. So anybody that's interested, please just message me. I'll put you down on the list, all right, for when I run that one, all right? So it's literally 10 weeks, an hour a week, all right? And we do it at a convenient time, and it would be on Zoom. But the other thing I'll be doing, I'll literally be taking, I'm going to be doing a young person's peace education program as well. So this will be working on young people, their mindsets, right? So I'm going to have one that's specific to young people that I'll be able to take into any schools, anywhere where there are young people. Right, let me know, all right, if you can still hear me, or I might have to lock it. Can you give me a thumbs up? Let me know if you can hear me, please, because my mum just rung. Can you hear me? Can you give me a thumbs up? Right, yeah, I'm not sure. Brilliant. Right, thank you, because I never know with this. Right. So Peace Education Programme. So if you know any young people, any groups of young people who would want this, it's absolutely amazing, all right? This is something that I'm going to be going into prisons with very shortly as well, all right? This actual programme is in 80 different countries across the world. And the more peace education we get out there, the better, all right? It definitely changes mindset. Right, so it's about finding inner peace and realising, right, that peace comes from within. Right, so there's 10 different topics within it, and they would make up everything that's within you, right? So, I mean, I've just completed it, and yeah, I cannot recommend it enough, all right? So let's see if I can find my paperwork. If it's here. Typical, it's not there. But I will read it out before I finish the live, all right? Just what it consists of. But we're doing, like I said, we're going to do one for young people. We can also do it for community centres, you know, because the main programme is for adults, but this is something new. We're going to do a young people's one. And also it's something that, you know, I'd like to actually take to gangs, right? Because there's been lots of talks about peace treaties, gang truces, which I am very, very interested in, because I feel that's something else that we need to do, right? If we're not going to, if drugs aren't going to be legalised, right, so we can cut out the organised crime, we can cut out corruption, right, within our society, right, that's really the only way we can go. So Sophia's saying, what age group? So we do an adults one, so it's 18 upwards to whatever age. And that's going to be my online one, right? So the online one I'm doing for 10 weeks. That will be 18 plus. But for the kids will be 13 to 18. 13 up to 18. So I'm actually pretty excited to take this into schools and colleges. Just knowing what I know from what I've done on this actual course. So it's something that will benefit any community, any group of people. And they've had, I mean, the turnaround they've had in prisons is something else. They've noticed, you know, changes in behaviour in the prisoners. The fact of, you know, actually just feel being confident, and it's just amazing. Like I can't even express how great this course is. But yeah, so I'll get the list in a bit, all right, and I'll tell you what they are. So please, anyone that's interested, so the online peace education is open globally, worldwide, all right? So just send me your names and details, right? Just say you're interested, and yeah, that's it. So I'll put you down. And then with regards to schools, that is going to be specifically, I'd say when I start this up, it will be Southwark and Lambeth boroughs, right, to start with. And then once I've established, you know, in those two boroughs, then I'll be moving that out. But we are definitely going into prisons as well with this programme. Sophie is saying, I asked because my son has been let down by a school and been out of education for a year. Yeah, he'd be ideal. He'd be absolutely ideal for the peace education programme. But yeah, I mean, my daughter's been out of school for a year as well. Mine is with relation to her being very ill. My daughter's got severe long COVID, and she's literally caring for her like nearly 24 hours. Can't get into school. Had no education, even though like I've tried lots of stuff. But where I'm at now, I've now applied for an educational healthcare plan. So if you haven't started that process, I would encourage you to do so. It's something you can do on your own. Because my school weren't particularly helpful, but in the end they were, when I got through to the right department and the right people. But it was very stressful, so I can understand fully what you've been going through in relation to schools, because I know what that's like. But yeah, so I'm looking, like I said, I'm looking to take this into my daughter's school and the surrounding schools in my areas. Oh right, your son's got educational healthcare plan. Wow, oh my goodness. But he was abused in school by staff and pupils. Oh my God, I'm so sorry to hear that. Oh my God. But this is the thing, I feel there's no accountability within schools. I mean, I know they have their processes and stuff, but with regards to what is concerned, you know, the pupils, the parents concerned. Right, this is another thing, right, just while I think of it, that I'm doing in the community, right, just so I've forgotten about this. So, massive shout out to Shady's Beats. How are you doing? Yeah. I was just saying earlier, like I've not been on the lives for a few months because I've not been very well. I've been very ill and having lots of tests, but I'm feeling a lot better than I was. So, and I felt like I had to come on and say something because it's just been so long. Kind of tell you what I'm up to, have a bit of a rant, hopefully get a bit more support with some of the initiatives that I'm running. So the other one is Parent Carer Champions. So I work with Southwark Council, the Violence Reduction Unit, the Mental Health for Young People Centre called The Nest. We've been doing Parent Carer Champions now for 2 years. So what we do, we organise training in the community for parents and carers. So that would be on all the things that they may come across being a parent or a carer this day and age. So we're looking at child exploitation, mental health, the services that are available in the area with regards to, like we were just discussing before, educational healthcare plans, not exclusions, what to do if it doesn't go the way you want it to go and you need help and who you can go to, right? I'd say life-saving information that parents and carers need, right? So even if they don't need it, they may know somebody else who does need that, right? Or an understanding or signs to look out for if your child maybe is getting groomed online, right? Or in the community, or, right? So it's all things that could potentially save a young person's life, keep them safe from predators that are out here, right? So it's not just, being groomed for gangs, for drugs. It can be for sex, sexually exploitation. It's absolutely horrifying, right? And like I said, I'm going to do another live where I specifically talk just about that, because parents and carers and people in the community need to know what the hell is going on out here, right? Because the more I got into it and the more I found out, it made me go, do you know what? I can't just do nothing, right? I've got to get this information out. I need to speak to people about it, right? So what we found with the Parent Carer Champions, so we hold workshops, I think mainly once a year we do the main bulk. So we educate a group of parent carers from Southwark, and then we will do events. We'll go and speak to various different places, but the whole concept was for certain schools to be attached to this, right? So I think initially we had 5-10 schools attached to what we were doing, with the intention that these schools would organise, as they do, coffee mornings, right, for parents to get together, and we could actually get to groups of parents and actually speak to them. But what we discovered was that the schools weren't particularly helpful. They weren't actually organising any coffee mornings, and they didn't seem to be too actually, not excited, but too happy that this is what we were wanting to do. Right now, when kids go to secondary school, parents don't really see each other anymore, right? They make their own way to school. Parents aren't hanging outside, and you don't tend to really still be like you are at primary school, right? So this initiative, I would say, is vital, right? So we need this in all boroughs, everywhere, and not even just here in London. This is something that needs to be rolled out across the whole of the UK, right? To educate parents and carers and help, right? Protect their own kids, protect others' children's, right? Know what's going on, so they're not being, you know what I mean? I think people will be shocked what they're allowing to happen in our communities without even saying anything, right? Some might say they're unaware, but this is why it's so important that we have the awareness. Sophia's saying, hang on, some schools are corrupted. It's sad that young people have to suffer at the hands of adults. Yeah, It's horrifying. And I just, what gets me, like, it should just be something inside us that is just natural to protect kids, right? Yeah, there's the other sort who are out there who are like being predatory on our kids, but then there's a big percentage of us who care about our kids and care, you know, about what's going on, right? So I keep saying that it's about just going with the people that get it, right? Because I spent a lot of years trying to persuade people, you know, they need to get on board and they need to, you know, we have to work together. But the proof is in the action, right? And there's people just instantly, you just know that they're on it, they're interested, they care, right? And they want to do something. So some of the things we've got, like I said, we've got the bleed control campaign going on that anybody can get involved in. So you can either contribute to the GoFundMe, and if you put your reference, once you've raised enough money on the GoFundMe, I can send you a kit for your area. You could fundraise yourself and do it, which lots of people do. You could speak to local council, people in the community who may be able to get funding, right? These do save lives. We need them everywhere. They are not a solution to knife crime, but they will keep people alive until the ambulance arrives, okay? So it will stop a lot of young people literally passing away on the street, okay? And give them a chance. So we've got that going. We've got the petition, which thank you to Islington Healing Network. I cannot thank them enough for their help, their support, right? No matter what, you know, I'm doing, the support and the love is there. And I can't thank you enough what that does, you know, to keep me going, to keep me pushing, right? And I mean, so many positive things have come out from us, like working together, you know, helping one another, supporting one another. It's beautiful to see, right? And we just need more of that. We need more of us coming together, right? But it's not about forcing people, right? Let me read another message. Sophia's saying 100 mine was being groomed in school, shown evidence to police and school, but they turned a blind eye. Right, so I presume peer-to-peer grooming, which I didn't even know existed till a couple of years ago. I had no idea. And I always thought, you know, there was youngers and olders, right? So you had the youngers and the olders, but I didn't realise there's the teenies as well. And this is why it's so important that we get to the real young ones before it even gets to this. But we're up against it. That's the other thing I'm going to say. We are up against it, right? If you think the whole of society is set up to glamorise this shit, this horrifying using our children, glamorising the trap, the bando, the money, the drugs, right? The making it seem like it's the people on the street doing all this, when it's not. It's the people that look like me, right? The people who blend into society, right? That you know, husbands and wives, people running CAFs, right? Who are organising the guns to come into the estate, the drugs, right? And it's like, I mean, I keep going on as well. In fact, I'll finish these messages because people who know me, I can go off on tangents because I just... Right, Shady's Beats is saying, pedos are being protected these days. It's disgusting. Right, that's another thing we're going for. Right, we've fucking had enough, right? People have got to stop just accepting, they just keep getting... Let's do something about it, right? We've got that on our list for the Cobra meeting. These kids' lives. They're endangering Our kids' lives that are endangered on social media, right? The grooming. What is in place? There's nothing in place, right? The sentencing. That has to stop. DNA evidence, child killers never come out. They're never to come out, right? The sentencing. The reason it doesn't make sense, because there's stuff going on that we don't know about. You know, there's a lot of stuff that people don't know about. But that has to change. This is what I'm talking about. Law change, right? Pedo, you go in and you stay in there. You can't be changed. You can't be... They don't change. They can't. But why? This is what I'm saying. As a unit, getting together, all of us, we can make change. That is a fact. With the same vision, right? The same result. We can do it. And I know we can do it. I have total confidence that we can do it. And the thing is, it's backed up by the system, because the system is designed for change. If you think the only people who are changing that system are the government, right? So that's why we have to get there and be part of that changing. We have to, there's no way around it. If we don't do that, we've got to wait 10 years and rely now that in 10 years the public health approach will be in effect, or that, you know, there's going to be change. I don't really want to trust that and just rely on that. I'd rather try something else in the meantime. And believe me, we're trying a variety of different things until we get that action, right? The petition, I think, Islington Healing Network, the rate that's going, right? But at least we're trying that, right? And we can see that that's not a fast route to get that Cobra meeting. Yeah, it's Sophia says, yeah, peer-to-peer grooming is a big thing. Right, now I can imagine that most schools aren't even aware of it. Because I can't vouch for, you know, the people who do go into schools, right? Because there's loads of people out there who are going into schools and they're speaking in schools and they're, you know, talking about knife crime, you know. But a lot I see, it's more about, you know, don't carry the knife. Don't, you know. But hang on, there's a lot of kids who are exploited, who are forced to carry. They're forced to carry drugs and they're forced to carry weapons, right? And even forced to go to school with those drugs and weapons in the hope that they will be excluded straight into the hands of the exploiter, right? It's so frightening. And this is why parents need to know about all this, so they can actually make an informed decision, you know, as to whether they want to just not pick this kid up from school, right? Because to be honest, if my kid's travelling certain areas, it's not safe out there. Look at the incidents that are happening at 3 o'clock, right? 3, 4, 5. There's been loads of killings in Peckham, for example. School time, people being stabbed up, killed, Peckham High Street, not just Peckham, Croydon, it's everywhere. It is everywhere. And what are we doing? We're just accepting our kids are about there. Shady's Beat says exactly 100, 100. It's not acceptable. They protect them. I'll explain to you in a message, Lisa. It's so wrong. Right, yeah. It's not acceptable. This whole fucking, the pedos, the exploiters, right? They're preying on our kids. And that's enough. That should be enough for most parents and carers to be angry about. And to make them go, you know what? You're not doing that to our kids, right? And if you don't want to speak up and say, like, you just have to, like I said, join the petition, right? Sign that. Get involved when we're doing Make Noise End Knife Crime again, right? Oh, bless you, Shady's Beat. She says, I love you. You're awesome. Bless you. Oh, lots of love to you, my darling. And she's saying, thank you for all you're doing. it's a case of, look, I never expected that I'd have to be doing this, right? Seriously, right? I've been, I'm a mum, I'm a nan, I've supported anyone in the community doing stuff over the years. I just presumed it was all in hand and that it was working towards something that would make change, right? That literally just started in the last 2 years and hardly started, right? So it forced me to start looking into, hang on, why is nothing changing? Why is it getting kind of worse? Why are they, right? So to the point that I now understand what's going on, I realise what it is that needs to change. And I haven't just come up with this on my own, because I would never just go, oh yeah, this is through research and talking with people who do know, right? And also involving the community, right? We have to all do this together. This is not something one person can come up and, this is something we have to complete together. And I have no doubt that we can do it. Right, we've got, another message from Sophia. So I'm a bit slow with all this, sorry. She says, I pulled my son out due to serious safeguarding concerns. I contacted my borough safeguarding and was told it shouldn't be my concern, as my son no longer attends. How ridiculous. What about other kids as well? This is what I mean, right? That's exactly what I mean. So as far as they're concerned, that risk is gone. But the person who was grooming, they're still going to be doing that in the school, right? I remember a good few years back, I think when I first started Let the Youth Live, and I got a message from, who was it? Yeah, it was a kid from a school, and there'd been some incidents, right, which I didn't realise actually filtered back to the school. And this kid told me that he was very worried and scared, that he said there was so much gang activity going on in his school, and that was one of the reasons behind the person being stabbed, this certain incident. And it was highly concerning when he told me what was going on, and the fact that the school weren't even, concerned about that side of it. But that's another thing that needs to be tackled, right? Schools definitely need to be working with councils, community, police, right? Social services. Everybody needs to be working together, and that is what the public health approach is. That is what is currently supposedly happening, right? And I can kind of vouch for that, really, because I've kind of seen, I've been at kind of the big conferences where I've heard people speaking about what's going on. So I can say there's a lot going on, right? But not a lot particularly for now in relation to community safety. Sophia's saying they're all still dealing with other children. Yep, the system don't care or won't do anything unless something seriously goes wrong. Shady's Beat says, send me the petition. I will do. Seriously, the more help I can get with that, the better. Please, I want to get it to 1,000. Let's get it to 1,000 signatures. We're visualising 1,000 for now, all right? So let's all focus on that. So please, right? Because, let's keep this moving. Let's get this rolling. Shady Beat says, I've had rappers from USA rapping about putting knives down. I'm trying. Oh, bless you. I mean, I've tried that here, right? And even, I support all that in my music as well. Sophia, the petition is on my page. It's in the link tree. It's at the very top, all right? But that petition is something that is going to be constantly really amended as we go, all right? Because there's going to be more and more things added to that. So when we get that Cobra meeting, we've got everything in place, right? We're nearly there, but there's certain bits I'm still working on with relation to the care system, the police. But there's some really positive things that I'm looking into right now that would be more direct than what we've been doing. I'm also open to any ideas that people can think of, and I keep saying this, I'm happy to do some drastic action. If people come up with ideas, suggestions, something that we could do that will get the right result, all right, which is the emergency Cobra meeting. Shady's Beat says, I'm sure I signed one unless this... No, I'm sure you did as well. I'm sure you've done that. I'm sure, because it's been going for about a year. So, yeah, I'm sure you've done that. But looking to get back on here on the lives, doing lives a lot more, all right? I've got a lot of guests as well lined up going forward. Like I said, I've just been a little bit off kind of the radar a bit. I've been doing the bleed control, but as for these lives, but I feel like these lives are so important. So anyone who's not already following us, please do so on all social platforms. Let the Youth Live. We do have a podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so please follow us on that. Please sign the petitions. Please get involved with all the initiatives. Like I said, look around your community. See what needs to change, right? To make people feel safe. If you're speaking to young people, ask them, what do we need to do, right? What do you want to happen? What would make you feel a bit more safe around here? What needs to happen, right? Because that's what I want to take to the Cobra meeting, right? When I spoke at college quite recently, the kids all there said they wanted patrols. Now, what we have got, and what I've noticed, and I don't know if anyone else has noticed this, just before I sign off, because I'm expecting a knock at my door very, very soon. All right, so, hang on, I've lost my train of thought. Could someone please remind me, what did I just start saying? Sorry, I completely lost my train of thought there. It's gone now. Right, so other than that, I am going to be signing off very, very shortly. But please get involved in the initiatives that we've got running. Everything is very quick to do. It won't take up a lot of time for people, but we'll have maximum results, all right? So, yeah, if no one can remind me what I actually... Yeah, because it's completely gone out of my brain. All right, but sending everyone lots and lots of love, all right? I'm sure I was going to talk about some positive things that were going on. There is lots of positive stuff going on in the background. I'm starting something as well next week, what I'm so excited about. Cannot wait to tell you all about it. But it literally... it should get me the connections that I need to decision makers, right? And that's where we need to get to. That's the people we need to head to, all right? Not speaking out, I suppose, to people who can't do anything, right? We need law change. That's what we're looking for. Life-saving initiatives implemented. So we keep people safe while we're working, right, on what it is that needs to happen to get that change. But like I said, a lot of that is already happening. A lot of that is going on behind the scenes, all right? But my focus is community safety, keeping young people safe in the places that they frequent, all right? So any ideas that anyone thinks of, right? Anything at all, please get in touch. I love working with other people, right, on life-saving initiatives. I'm working with a lot of people across the UK. It doesn't, and in fact, to be honest, you know, this affects people globally. This is not just here, right? The same issues, organised crime, the corruption, okay, the organisations, right? So the governments, the police, the care systems, right? And it's us, it's the people that are suffering, our children, all right? So let's work towards change, getting a brighter future, right? One where our children are not targets, they're not, preyed on, because we've put stuff in place that is going to make sure that doesn't happen. All right, so sending you all lots and lots of love, more blessings. Thank you so much for joining me. All right, but I will be back. I'll be back next week, I promise. All right, and yeah, so please get involved in whatever you can. I know we can do this. All right, have a wonderful rest of your Sunday, whatever you're up to. Okay, and thank you for locking in today. All right, and yeah, giving me your input, getting involved, you know, in where we go, what we're doing, you know, what's the plan going forward, right? So together, in unity, I know we can do this.